welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm April Knight, and you're watching News 2 Week in Review. Topping our stories tonight, teachers at the St. Croix Educational Complex took to the streets earlier this week in protest. This comes at the heels of the two teachers' unions rejecting the government's contract, which includes the $10,000 salary increase for entry-level teachers. Among the issues that were highlighted during the protest were fair wages and working conditions. Rosa Soto-Thomas, president of the St. Croix chapter of the American Federation of Teachers, outlined their reasons for rejecting the contract. Basically, even though the offer seemed tempting, teachers' unions want parity in the compensation for teachers just getting into the profession and seasoned teachers with multiple years of experience under their belts. Here's more.
All right, we arrived at a tentative agreement last week, and we brought the information, the tentative agreement to the members for their review. I mean, it was heart-wrenching just witnessing some of the members going up to the microphone and, you know, telling their story. And they were so emotional as they told their stories. And it reflected all the stuff that they've been doing. Also dipping into their own pockets, spending money, purchasing materials to help instruction, you know. And we are currently in the schools, and the schools are not ready to be opened. All right, teachers don't have desks. They don't have place to put their materials. They're operating out of boxes, putting stuff on the floor. Some of them are getting sick. The governor has a right to increase the minimum wage, and I'm very pleased for that. I'm also pleased that members are getting a raise. I believe it's this payday coming. However, the union through Act 4440 has all rights to negotiate the starting salary for teachers. And it's a form of union busting, okay? And the members turn it down because what's happening, the seasoned teachers, for example, if you are in step 11, you're making just as much as the starting teacher. I mean, there's no equity there. There's no parity. So teachers were very frustrated by that because the contract has steps. We go from step 0 to step 30. We're happy that they're offering the starting salary to those teachers, but then you still have to spread that money across the board. Members got to see a sizable increase. Those seasoned people, they've been there a long time. Pretty soon they will be, you know, at that retirement stage, and they need to get something to take home. Remember, your retirement check and your retirement annuity check is based on your last 5 salaries. Okay, so some members are still sitting at step 11 when they may have completed the years that they need to retire. All hands are on deck. Teachers are protesting. The union didn't sanction it, but they're protesting during lunchtime, and I support that. I support the lunchtime protests in hopes that we'll get back to the bargaining table with a completed contract, a contract that's palatable to all the members of the AFT. Members are like, I'm not taking any more, because when members get to school, this school, yeah. I mean, everything, the department is always asking for more and more and more. So let them put their money where their mouth is. If they want all of this stuff, then pay the teachers. Because you can't add more on my plate and give me more responsibility and don't increase my salary.
The unions went back to the negotiating table on Friday morning. We will keep you updated. Meanwhile, school openings were pushed back again for various schools on St. Thomas. Here are the updated school openings on each island. On Monday, September 17th, Lou Muckle Elementary opened on St. Croix, while Julius Prow on St. John opened on Wednesday, September 19th. On September 24th, Eulalie Rivera Elementary School is scheduled to open, as well as Arthur A. Richards Junior High School, but the students will be reporting to John Woodson. On September 27th, Charlotte Amalie High School, Yvonne Milner-Bowski Elementary School, Ivana Eudora Ken High School, and Joseph Gomez Elementary School are scheduled to open. According to the Department of Education, information on the opening of Lockhart Elementary and Adelita Cancrine Junior High School will be released once they know more about the progress of construction work at the schools. Well, Wanda Rubin, recently terminated Chief Executive Officer of the Juan Luis Hospital, has been making the rounds, making sure that her story is told after a contentious firing and what she claims is ill treatment from members of the Juan Luis Hospital board. According to Rubin, she was told to sign a non-disclosure agreement, but she refused, and now she's revealing everything that she knows about alleged dysfunction and even corruption within the board. We will make sure to air various sides of this story, but for now, here are portions of our interview that we did with Ms. Rubin just this morning. Take a listen.
It was no cost, and for the public, it wasn't a renewal of my contract because my contract was supposed to be renewed on October 16. The evaluation of the CEO was never conducted, so it wasn't that they didn't wanted to renew my contract. It was actually termination without cause. They want an experienced CEO and an experienced CFO. You had one. If you're looking for perfection, go ahead and keep looking for perfection, because the problem is not the CEO, the problem is not the CFO. The problem is the board and some of the senators from the legislature that do not listen. A lot of the public have made comments that I am coming out now. If you go back and you listen to a lot of the legislature invitation that I've been participating, I continuously mention to them my struggle through with board members. And the only thing that I can tell the legislature is, like, when you do things that the board does not like I mentioned in previous interview, not hiring their friends, not standing strong to the bullying and the intimidation and the humiliation that they put people through, and saying enough is enough, then all of a sudden you're no longer a good CEO. You're not competent. Now they try to prove you incompetent.
Stay tuned for a longer story that we're doing on the fallout of Rubin's firing. Coming up next, a pilot program that introduces toddlers to kindergarten, plus a critical telecommunication program provided by the Public Services Commission in partnership with VIA. We'll be right back. Welcome back. A stretch of road on St. Thomas will be known from now on as Brownie Street. Actually, it's the Irvin Brownie Brown Sr. Street, thanks to a bill sponsored by Senator Dwayne DeGraff. On Friday, September 14th, the family, loved ones, and fans of the local broadcast icon hosted a ceremony to pay tribute for his contributions to the Virgin Islands community. His legacy goes way back to 1966, when the former drummer and taxi driver sat down at the helm of WSTA and launched a radio career that would span decades. The ceremony to honor Brownie was held at the former USO building, now the David A. Canton building in downtown St. Thomas. The Irvin Brown Sr. Street encompasses the portion of General Gata, which runs from the intersection of Veterans Drive up to the intersection of Silkagata. Governor Kenneth Mapps later signed it into law. Congratulations on the well-deserved honor. Well, it's their first time going to school, but these toddlers need not worry. A pilot program by the Virgin Islands Department of Education, first launched on St. Croix, is helping little ones get acquainted with a more formal school setting. Here's more about the Granny Preschool program.
It's an opportunity for those students to be able to get the foundations in English, language arts, as well as math, those basic foundational skills, to make the transition into kindergarten a bit easier for them. As we have been looking at our data here in the St. Croix district for the past few years, we recognize that kindergarten students really need to have those foundational skills. So we wanted to be able to support our kindergarten students and just grab them a little earlier to see how that is going to transition into a much successful school year when they're ready to begin the kindergarten. And eventually they'll be readers before the 3rd grade. The children have been loving their structure, their opportunities to mingle among regular school and just being immersed into the campus.
Well, residents in the territory who need a little help paying the bills are getting some assistance with their telecommunication needs. That's thanks to a program called Lifeline. It's a partnership between the Public Services Commission and VIA. Here's more from Lorna Nichols of the PSC.
Lifeline is a program that was done by the FCC, our nationals, NARUC, the National Association of Regulatory Utility Commissioners, and the USF program. They do funding for the territory, and the monies are distributed into the Lifeline program, which gives discounts to anyone that falls under the Human Services umbrella. That's veterans, senior citizens, anyone with a SNAP program, Medicaid, and you can get the benefits on your cell phone, you can get them on your landline, and now VIA is doing broadband. So that's something new this year, so keep looking out for that. I just talked to Jennifer Matarengas-King. They're working out the megabit, the speeds and everything, but they're going to have it, and it's going to be really nice. And the discounts are about $9, maybe a little more than that, depending on what you qualify for. All you do is you come into Human Services, or you come into VIA, any of the VIA locations. You can sign up for it. You'll need form of IDs, and just fill out some forms to show your qualifications. Also, something very important, people that are already signed up for Lifeline, you can re-up, you can sign back up for it, and because a lot of people in the territory, sometimes they let their membership with Lifeline lapse. And we keep a record of you, so come on back in and sign up for it again, because the discounts are great, and just to save money these days, I mean, who doesn't want that? The Public Services Commission works with VIA every year to do this drive. And just remember, too, that you can always come to the Public Services Commission for all of your utilities. You can look up our website, www.psc.gov.vi. Call us at 776-1291 for any problems or just questions about your utilities or anything. Thank you.
There you go. Coming up next, our Pet of the Week, plus your News 2 AccuWeather forecast. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's time for our Pet of the Week. Our featured canine this week from the Humane Society of St. Thomas is a big boy with a name you won't have trouble remembering. Bingo has been with the Humane Society for some time. He's sweet and energetic, and he's looking for his forever home. Donna Nemeth, the Director of Operations at Humane Society, tells us all about our Pet of the Week, Bingo.
This is Bingo. Bingo's about 2 years old. Super friendly dog. Loves nothing better than to go on a walk with all of his dog friends or just give you a big hug like that. He was also a stray drop-off, so found on the streets, and our staff picked him up and brought him in, and now he's looking for his forever home. He's been with us a couple of months already. He would love to be adopted and go home with you. He's great with other dogs. He'd be a great family dog. He's great with all the people that he's met. He's just a happy, goofy boy.
Now remember, if you or anyone you know is interested in any of the pets that we feature on Pet of the Week, don't hesitate to call the Humane Society at 775-0599, or you can visit www.hsstt.com. The Humane Society also offers a free spaying and neutering program where you can take your dog or cat to a vet of your choice with a voucher from the shelter. You can help the Humane Society by fostering or adopting their rescue animals, by donating supplies, or if you're traveling, by volunteering to transport their pets to a mainland home or a shelter that will take them in. Again, that's 775-0599 or www.hsstt.com. Before we look at the weather, the Virgin Islands Territorial Emergency Management Agency, or VITEMA, is urging residents to be vigilant. One of the ways that you can do that is by subscribing to their alert system that will deliver relevant weather updates in real time directly to your phone. Here's VITEMA Director Mona Barnes with more on the alert system.
I do want to ask the community, if you are not yet signed up with Alert VI, I strongly encourage you to sign up with Alert VI. That is the new alerting platform that we have at Vitima that actually gives you on-time messaging, real-time messaging. You can also go to our website, www.vitima.vi.gov, and you can just work through the web page, and you can find whether it's a hurricane, whether it's a tsunami, whether it's an earthquake, and it gives you information and how to prepare.
Well, this week, the territory commemorated the anniversary of Hurricane Maria, which struck and devastated St. Croix on September 20th last year. News 2 is marking the event with a 30-minute special, again highlighting the awe-inspiring strength and compassion of Virgin Islanders after the storm. That special airs on September 29th, Saturday, 7 p.m. on via Channel 4 and 504. Here's a sneak peek at Cane Bay Cares, one of the stories that we're featuring on that special.
And it was really a great team that all did all that they really could to try to help us go from a management consulting and analytics company to a nonprofit and really a logistics company to figure out how to get bottles of water to a person who needed it.
I think there was almost a bit of disbelief that we were able to do some of the things that we were able to do, and that was one of the most gratifying things for us, especially not as a Red Cross organization or anyone with that type of experience.
The biggest thing that touched me when I was boots on the ground and facilitating some of this was the overall looks on people's faces when you showed up. It went from a look of scared and desperation to a hope. And to bring that to somebody is something that for the rest of my life will touch my soul and will be something that I will never forget.
Now let's see what the weather looks like in the next several days with your News 2 AccuWeather forecast.
Good evening. The skies were definitely less hazy today here across the U.S. Virgin Islands. Most of that dust and drier air shifted its way out towards the north. And as we continue through tomorrow, well, we'll continue to see more sunshine. Current radar showing us not a lot of moisture out there. Very spotty activity across the U.S. Virgin Islands as well as Puerto Rico. Tonight, it's going to be partly cloudy, chance for some showers to pass on through. Trade winds are light to moderate, so we could still see some blips of moisture cooling down once again into the lower 80s. Now, as we head into tomorrow, we're in the upper 80s for our highs, partial sunshine, once again, less haze, and an overall good start to the weekend. Also in the upper 80s for St. Thomas, looking at a brief shower likely for St. Croix as well with a high of 87. We continue into your marine forecast and the trade winds being on the light side. We don't have any cautions or advisories out. Waves running up to 2 to 4 feet. Winds out of the east 10 to 15 knots on the Atlantic side. And the same goes for the Caribbean. Waves running up to 4 feet there, and winds out of the east 10 to 15 knots. So definitely be a nice beach weekend, or if you have any outdoor plans, our forecast is looking very tranquil. Now we're still going to have some moisture in place here for your Saturday. Spotty activity going to be likely, and as you head into your Monday and Tuesday, well, you could be looking at some more moisture coming into play. We do have a wave trying to press its way into the Leeward Islands, so early next week we could be looking at some of that moisture moving on in, but we do anticipate that feature, that tropical wave, to lose energy, lose that punch that will bring us any chance for thunderstorms or gusty winds, because wind shear will be knocking it down a few levels. So we'll stick with our stray showers all the way through midweek. Temperatures not changing much here, remaining in the upper 80s for your highs.
Thank you for that. Coming up next, one of our very own sports heroes came back with a crown. When we return, we hear from VI boxer Clayton Laurent, fresh from his latest fight in New York. Stick around for News 2 Sports. Here's Gary Anthony with some News 2 Sports for you.
I'm Gary Anthony, and this is News 2 Sports. Virgin Islands native Clayton Laurent Jr. made his professional boxing debut recently in New York City. News 2's James Gardner traveled to the Big Apple for this momentous occasion. Here's part one of the two-part series titled Boxing in Brooklyn.
My experience going to Brooklyn was amazing. I did a commercial for Brooklyn Boxing, which is like a big mecca in Brooklyn. There's a media outlet, and they have like world champions like Daniel Jacobs, who does drops and who's sponsored by Brooklyn Boxing. So I did some drops for them to get people ready for my arrival. And when I arrived, I felt, I could have felt, that this was definitely a big stage. I was at the press conference for the main card. I was acknowledged by my promoter, and while national press was there, so it was really cool to be, admired for my attributes as an athlete, being an Olympian, being the son of Julian Jackson, and me making my U.S. debut. So that in itself was huge. I met some really cool champions like Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, Amanda Serrano, I think. So that was really cool to meet her. Met my promoter for the first time in person, and it was just a really cool experience just to see what a build-up is, what it is to be on that stage of fighting, and just what to expect, and it just showed me in many ways, what to expect, how the pressures are going to be, and just the level of professionalism needed to be on that type of platform.
Anything different fighting on this undercard than fighting in other cards?
The biggest difference was just the size of the venue and the amount of people in attendance. That was really the biggest thing, and just the magnitude of the production. For me, I honestly, personally didn't take in too much. I walked inside the arena, took my pictures, took a deep breath and said, yo, this is dope. And then I literally cleared my mind, and I went back to focusing on fighting, because I didn't want to allow the size of the venue to dictate, my skill. Because, sometimes you go on a big stage and you want to impress, you want to show out, you try to do more than you actually need to do. And for me, I just said, look, this is my backyard, I'm going to make this ring my ring. And despite how many people are here, it's my time to shine. I'm just going to focus on doing what I practice to do, which was use a jab, set him up, and get him out of there if I saw the opportunity. So it was a great opportunity, but I didn't focus on the size of the venue, but I focused on the job that I came to do, and that was to win. At first, it started off like any normal fight, I fought internationally before, and of course, you come there and you have to wait a while before stuff start. So they always have you there like an hour to 2 hours before, just to make sure that you're there, that you have all your equipment, and that. So that was cool. I had to do a physical before, which I've done before in different fights. So it was always normal until about 6 o'clock. I got moved from the first fight to the 4th, then I got moved to the 7th. I got moved to the 8th, then I got moved to the 7th. So everything going on plan. I got my gloves, got checked by the doctor, got my hands wrapped. I'm warming up, and one of the guys with a jacket for Showtime says, hey, looking for Clayton Laurent. And I was like, hey, that's me. He's like, take off your gloves. I was like, why? I'm going out next. He's like, no, the fights have gone longer than we thought. Showtime made a decision to cut the rest of the undercard. We're going to the televised portion. You're now put into a swing bout. So we'll keep you posted. I was like, so when am I going out? He was like, we can't tell you, but we'll try our best to give you a heads up. I was like, wow, it's going to be interesting. So I expected maybe an extra hour or 2 hours wait, but that didn't happen. My promoter came in shortly after. He's like, hey, Clayton, I'm really sorry to give you the bad news, but you're coming on after the main event. I was like, whoa. So this was about, when he told me this was about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then he came back in again. He's like, I'm sorry, you go on after the main event, and there's a 8 runner before you, and then you go on. So that was the last bout of the evening, literally. So I went from going on maybe potentially 10:30, 11:30 to 1 a.m. on Sunday morning. I prayed that somebody would knock out someone so I can get in the ring, but that wasn't the cards that was dealt, and I just stayed focused. I was like, look, I came to do a job. Whether you put me on in an hour, half an hour, you put me on at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday, outcome is going to be the same. I'm going to win, and I'm going to put on a show, and that's exactly what I did. I got out there, I focused, and I got to stop the guy in the second round. And this was his first time ever being knocked down and ever being stopped in a fight. So for me, that was really a confidence builder for me, knowing that I was able to give this man his first stoppage, and I was able to not just win, but win in impressive fashion.
Part 2 of Clayton Laurent Jr.'s trip to New York will air next week. That's all for sports. Have a great weekend.
Thank you for that, Gary and Clayton. Congratulations. We're very proud of you. And that's it for our show tonight. Make sure you follow us on Facebook at News2VI or Instagram at TV2USVI. We want to hear from you, so tag us on any stories you want to see on the news or send us a message on Messenger. You can also email us at newsdirector@tv2.vi. Thanks again for joining us on News 2 Week in Review. I'm April Knight. We'll see you next time. Have a wonderful weekend.